I had one of those when I was in Times Square when I went with Davina
Mhm.
before we saw Sunset Boulevard. Boulevard.
Wait, sorry. What did you think you were just doing in your performance of Sunset Boulevard? What were you hoping to draw on, and what were you hoping to kind of bring
Oh
out?
gosh. Well, British guy who I'm forgetting his name, but the actor.
Oh, hot guy.
Yeah, his famous number where he goes outside around the block or
Hmm.
whatever.
That's his whole thing.
Um, that's when he sings that big song, and it's so powerful. And he's like, Sunset Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard. What did you take from my glorious
So
performance?
I was hearing La Donne Mobile. La
What's
Donne
this?
Mobile. Like, I didn't know that you were doing the sun. You know when Bugs Bunny
Oh,
is hunting rabbits? I didn't know that you were doing the Sunset
oh,
Boulevard song. And so I was very confused because
oh
that's
no, it actually
operatic. Does it sound like that, the song?
it does sound like that song. It does sound like that Bugs Bunny like opera song. It actually does.
Oh, so it's all the same
But I don't know that it's like
intentional?
explicitly being referential. Like I don't know that it's like, you know what I mean?
I
But
do
yeah,
know
it
what you
does.
mean.
But it's like if you hear the rest of the song, you don't think that because then it goes a different melody. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So it's
sure, sure,
like
sure, sure, sure,
it's one
sure,
of those.
sure. Sunset Boulevard.
Do you want to listen to it for a minute? It's so good.
Do-do-do. Share.
And he's so sexy. Until you find his TikTok where he reviews sodas.
Oh, and that's a problem? Is he
Yeah,
bad at
stay away
reviewing
from
sodas?
that completely took me out of it.
Because does he have bad?
He's just I thought he's this like big Broadway actor and
He's just
he
a
should be
soda guy?
like if he has a soda TikTok, it should be like actually good. But
Oh,
then
it
I'm looking at
isn't.
these TikToks and it's him doing this corny shit. It's like not funny. I'm
Mm,
just like, this shouldn't exist.
you don't deserve that.
This is giving me the ick.
Ugh.
Or one of the worst things to have. Ooh, ooh, gives me tingles.
Very sexy.
Sure, I came out here to make my name. Wanted my pool, my dose of fame. Wanted my parking space at Warner's. But after a year, a one-room hell, a Murphy bed, a rancid smell, wallpaper peeling at the corners. Sunset Boulevard.
Oh my God!
Sting Boulevard.
Yeah, that's it. You've crushed it.
Oh, thanks. But do I want,
That's
wait, keep listening.
fine.
It's so good.
Rich, a little scary.
I'm gonna go back again. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, because this is it's the really good part.
Sunset Boulevard, twisting boulevard, secretive and rich, a little scary. Sunset Boulevard, tempting boulevard, waiting there to swallow the unwary.
So yeah, first and foremost, you're absolutely doing Sunset Boulevard in the way that he is doing Sunset Boulevard.
Thank you,
Second
the way
off, it
God
is
intended.
the way God intended. Second off, it's very much ripping off La Donna Mobile. Third off, and I don't know if this is going to be a safe space for this, but since he's giving you ick with the soda, I hope it's okay. The
What?
way he says Boulevard is like a war crime.
Okay, listen, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of a British actor in
Nope.
2025 who's literally what, 19, trying to do a quote unquote like
Wait, he's 19?
no, but he's like young. He's probably like 30. And he's like
30
no,
is
but
famously the new 19.
no, but what he's trying to do, Robert, is an accent from like back in the day, mid 20th century, like transatlantic almost at the very tail end of it. Like he's trying to sound like that.
Okay.
Which is already like it's like so many degrees of remove. That's hard.
It's
So
definitely hard.
is
I
he
should be
perfect?
more. No, he's not. So to
No.
be clear,
But
no.
is he doing this live every single night in the snow, sleet, and 100-degree heat in the summer? Okay. With all kinds of variables coming at him on the streets of Times Square, one of the famously most busiest places you could ever be.
That is a famous and busy police. I do want to just say he is saying boulevard, and it's almost boulevard. And that's all. I couldn't, it was on my heart and on my chest. I needed to say it. Boulevard.
That is funny.
Sunset Boulevard. I mean, that's
That
funny.
is funny.
to your podcast app. You'll see there's a discourse happening. Is this book a masterpiece or problematic? One's a lifelong diehard fan, the other's a first-time reader. Both are really smart and funny and attractive. Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, talking trends and hierarchy. Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, relentless focus on their bodies. Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, what do they mean by all American? Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, no sex, just titillation.
So, for those of you just joining, feel free to hang up and try again later. We are discussing Sweet Valley High number 82, Kidnapped by the Cult! Exclamation point.
And are you going to ask it, or am I going to ask it who gets kidnapped by the cult in this book?
I mean, does anyone get kidnapped? Is there a cult?
Who, if anyone, gets kidnapped by the cult?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kidnapped by the cult! Exclamation point. Do you have a 6-word review?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Should I join a cult? Question mark.
Yeah, it's like, what is the rent? One of the questions they never answer. I'm like, guys, what is the rent
Yeah,
at the
what are y'all doing?
friend's house?
Because it literally could be free based on the fact that they're collecting a bunch of money and not giving it to charity. Like, this just seems like a commune where they kind of pretend like they're donating more stuff to charity than they are. But other than that, like,
Oh, I do think it's a cult.
yeah, I mean,
I definitely do think it's a cult. I don't think anyone's kidnapped by it.
no.
But I do think it is a cult. Actually, no, that one girl, Susan, at the end, when she's tied up,
She is literally
she's kidnapped by the
kidnapped
cult. But
near
like,
a cult.
I don't think that's by the cult. It was dude was the one who tied her up. Cult guy.
So in my mind, that's definitely true.
No, but like that's like they're lucky that happens to be the case. Like I don't think that's what they meant.
Oh, they are so blessed that Susan ended up in the attic with her hands and feet tied. That
They
is
need
such
the
a
writers
blessing.
of this book so that the
Yes.
dialogue can have coherence.
But so when I think about someone being kidnapped by a cult, that person has been taken into the cult and held in the cult against their will. Whereas Susan actually has been kidnapped, and it was the cult who did it, but they were going to leave her behind. And in that way, it doesn't feel like she's kidnapped by the cult. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's why it's like the most tenuous even thread or thing to try to say. And that's why I was being sort of like a little facetious, because like I really think if we go by, the law has this standard of like the reasonable man.
Sure.
And if we think of the reasonable man,
the law is all about men then.
Exactly. If we think of the reasonable
Cool.
person, which is of course say it with me,
White, cisgender, heterosexual, 5'11", brown hair, lean, coffee
not
colored
balding.
eyes.
Not balding. Oh,
Not balding? What's that about?
colored eyes. Yeah. If we think of him,
Mhm.
okay, and he's the one who tells us what's reasonable or not. And like the image he would have in his head if he heard the phrase kidnapped by the cult. He speaks English. He lives in North America at sometime between 1960 and 2025.
Okay.
I feel like that man would picture what we're picturing. And
Yeah.
like that doesn't happen in this book. So we could talk about that.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's like a sort of variation on fuck, marry, kill. How we were just talking about like the reasonable man and how that man would say like this book is not
Yeah.
being kidnapped by the cult.
Mhm.
Imagine you're the reasonable man.
No.
And I'm going to give you 3 of the 3 book titles, and there's a gun to your head, and you have to choose one of them and say it makes sense for the book.
Okay.
And you're marrying it.
Fuck.
Kidnapped by the cult,
Yeah.
long lost brother,
And that one's out.
or
The girl they both loved.
and girl they both loved.
If I have to pick one, I'm picking Kidnapped by the Cult because there
You're
is
marrying it?
someone who is kidnapped and there is a cult, whereas there is no long lost brother and there is no girl they both loved. So
Yeah,
I
on the basic
can't
level of paraphrasable content, it's kind of,
on any level and any paraphrasable, non-paraphrasable content, anything else.
well, no, because, for example, on the level of rhetorical discourse, if we think of like the girl they both loved, it could be rhetorically, discoursely coherent. If we think of it as referring to that other girl that they also didn't love, or hit the headless girl from my movie,
Right, right, right. So I
then
actually
it's
don't
absolutely
think.
intertextually, rhetorically, maniacally.
Yeah, your use of the word coherent is not necessarily how I would use, or how a reasonable quote unquote man would use the word coherent, I don't think. Do you have a
Yeah,
six-word
like the
summary?
man on
Oh.
my dissertation committee who at my defense used it in the following sentence. I can't find a shred of coherence in this argument. Maybe I'm stupid, but I can't. Maybe I'm the stupid one.
And did you say to him, I do believe you are the stupid one. Thank you so much. No, maybe, sweetheart. You are the stupid one.
I was like, I don't hear a question.
To
Uh,
return to what we're trying to do with our brief time on this planet, do you have a
wait,
six-word review?
yeah, what was yours again?
Should I join a cult?
No. Yeah, no, there's a lot of reasons to. Okay, mine is okay. Mine is this happened to me once. That's my 6 word review. And here's
This
what
happened
happened.
to me once. Okay.
Yeah, when I went to India with Sabrina,
Friend of the pod.
shout out to her. Also, SVH fan, the book series.
Yeah, not the podcast. Not a fan of the
No, she's
podcast.
literally never listened. It's actually rude. I've actually told her, like, it's rude you haven't listened, bitch. Anyway, she's like, I can't get Spotify in Hungary. I'm like, yes. So we go to India. Anyhow, so we go visit her family friends who are this like amazing, amazing couple. He's like a healer and she's like an artist and she paints. And we were just like talking for hours and hours and hours, like we whatever the night away. And like I bonded with this woman.
Oh,
And she was like old family friend of Sabrina, like since childhood, whatever.
well, lucky
Anyhow,
you.
so this woman's amazing. We're like talking for hours. He's doing readings on us. They're reading our everything. They're reading our tarot. They're reading the like energy readings. They were just talking, giving us their whole like philosophy. And she like is in this group and whatever. And Osho, she's always saying like Osho says, Osho says this, Osho says that. And like Osho said, and we're like, who's Osho? And she's like, my guru. And we're like, like Osho says a lot of stuff that like, actually does sound pretty good. And like, I don't know if we were like drinking or what, but like, you know how Jessica says she felt sort of hypnotized by Ted? And I'm not assigning any sort of nefarious intent or saying anything about this woman. Like, she wasn't trying to do anything. She was just like extremely charismatic and amazing. But we had this moment where like she was showing me her paintings and it was like, what was that one? What was that one? And she's like, this is from when I died and came back to life. And she told me about her near-death experience or whatever. Are you Googling Osho?
No, his name's not Ted, is it?
I'm talking about red-haired freckles is Ted.
The very first guy at the
Yes.
beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Not the hypnotizer towards the end. Not the cult leader.
No, very early on, she says she felt almost hypnotized by the first guy who talked to her, I thought. Maybe not. I might be wrong.
I'm sure that's true. I just couldn't remember his name.
It
Was
might have
Ted.
been
I'm
not
so
till
sorry.
Adam Marvel.
Adam Marvel. Adam, that's his name.
Anyhow, Osho says, and then she tells me how she died and came back to life. And like, I don't know, but I had this like very spiritual experience with this woman. I was like crying. She was telling us all about Osho, and Osho said how like you're perfect how you are. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cried and cried and cried. I had this like big like spiritual moment with this woman where I was like, I accept myself, and like Osho is like telling me to or whatever. And then Sabrina's like, yeah, we should like go join Osho. And then I'm like, let me Google this guy. And I Google him, and his Wikipedia page is like, a famous fraudster who isn't allowed to visit the United States anymore because he like has defrauded people of like zillions of millions of dollars and like got all these people to like give their life savings to his cult. And then he also had like 50 Porsches. I literally think the number was like 50, and that's like a thing he's famous for. And in this book, reading how Adam Marvel makes all the kids in his cult have modest livings and whatever, but he like has expensive clothes. I'm like, ooh, it's like giving Osho and like potentially a Porsche, even though later it turned out whatever.
Yeah.
It was other guy from the fucking bowling alley, which
That was
doesn't
stupid.
preclude also the Porsche guy following. But anyway, but another 6 word review could be like, there could have been 2 guys following them. But anyhow, So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna like maybe not get involved in this whole Osho thing
Cool.
because I'm smart and I Googled it. But like everyone should make their choice, and I respect that if you're an adult. But
Feminism.
so important. But then they made a TV show about it. It was called Wild Wild Country, and it was a documentary on Netflix. And it was like one of the first big cult documentaries, and everyone loved it. And they're like, "Have you seen it?" And I was like, "I started watching it. It's actually a pretty shitty documentary in terms of filmmaking and TV making. So I like literally couldn't watch it because of how bad it was. But of course, the subject is interesting. And what I realized soon in, they're talking about Osho. I'm like, oh yeah.
There you
So
go.
that could have been me, and that's my Sith Word review.
That's great. I have a similar way that this has touched my life. Do we want to do that now because it makes sense, or do we want to try and tell someone what this book is about so they have some idea of what's going on?
I feel like they already have an idea of what's going on, which is
There's a cult.
someone gets involved with a cult.
Okay. I think I've told you this story that faculty members get paired up with a first generation college student and serve
Okay.
as their mentor.
Yeah.
And my mentee joined a cult. On one Zoom meeting, I was like, "You seem like brighter and happier. What's going on?" And she was like, "Oh, I've like made some good friends and I started getting involved in church. And so I'm really excited about it." And I was like, "Oh, tell me more about it." And she's talking about this church and how it's helping her to do better in school and she's more focused on her tasks and she's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, great." And then I go to Google like you did with OSHA, when we're off the Zoom call, and I start to type in like church of and whatever. It's one of those things where it's
Oh
like
no.
a generic name where it's like church of good, like good friends, like a church of
They
whatever.
usually are, yeah.
And so I start to type that in, and Google auto completes with is a
Is a
cult.
cult.
So I was like, well, what do I do? And
Mhm.
luckily, I talked to a friend who's a social worker and was like, what do I do? And they gave me very good advice that I would love to give the people in this book, which was like, don't call it a cult. Don't say anything judgmental or negative about it. Just ask questions and like see what can happen. And so we kept regularly meeting, and I would just like ask her questions, and she would talk about how, you know, she loved going to worship on Sundays, and she would also go Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And they like had study sessions, and she was on top of all of her work. And it was like, in some ways, it was really interesting because she was like doing way better in school and on top of everything. And she seemed really happy and positive. And clearly, like, the like spending 8 hours a day on Sunday worshiping and then cleaning their shared living environment and whatever was a lot. And then she ended up moving in with them, and it was very much like into housing near campus where it was like 8 girls splitting a 2 bedroom or something. And I just kept being like, what, like just asking her like open-ended questions. And then she like canceled a couple of meetings and then came back, and she like started and she was like, "So I moved out and got new housing because that was a cult." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, what made you realize that?" And she's like, "Well, they started like putting all sorts of restrictions on what I could wear. And they like pulled me aside and said that like my leggings were distracting the brothers because they weren't able to worship properly because they were distracted by my form." And I started thinking about how like all of the sisters have to cook and clean and do all this work, and the brothers don't have to do anything, and they're allowed to wear whatever they want. And it just seemed like a weird double standard. And so I just started like questioning the double standard and then questioning everything else. And then I started like looking online and found out there was a cult and moved out. And it was like, success story. And that's that.
Wow. Well, I'm really glad to hear that that happened. It like that's how that story ended.
Like, I'm really glad to hear that she
Like
got involved.
I half thought you were gonna be like, and I never heard from her again. She
Oh
stopped
gosh,
coming to me. Like,
I should have trigger
no,
warning.
it's
This
okay.
story is fine.
No, but that's very nice to hear. I'm glad that she was able to save herself in that way. And I think that I told you before we read it that I love this book. And I think a lot of how it depicts cult dynamics and like dynamics and psychology of people who get into cults is extremely realistic in really helpful ways. And I think that in particular, the position that you're talking about of like the person trying to figure out how to like help them and not make them turn away because they
Hmm.
think you're attacking the cult or the group or whatever, you're a threat to them. Elizabeth is in that position, and I think one of the things the book that was really interesting for me to read was like to see her. She's talking, her and Todd and Sam, Jessica's boyfriend, are trying to figure out how to help her. And Todd and Sam are much more like, let's just go take her. Let's just take her home. Or at least tell her parents, which, yeah, that she should do. So she 100% should do that. But in terms of like how much should they force her or not, it's also different if someone's a minor versus an
Yes.
adult. And so I don't think Elizabeth handled this correctly in the sense I think she should have told her parents way earlier.
Yeah.
However, her perspective on the thinking around trying to like ask questions and try to seem sort of supportive or at least like not outright attack it and like hope Jessica's going to figure it out or at least like it is so complex, it is so difficult and that felt really realistic.
Yeah, I will totally agree that I think this is a great job of giving insight into how hard it is to extricate someone from a cult. I am maybe less kind of rah about how Elizabeth handles any of it. And so I think there's definitely some real like, but I think it's accurate to what a 16-year-old person might think is the right way to handle things.
Yeah, just to clarify my position and like
Thank
what I
you.
did actually say and the words I
Thank
actually did
you.
use was like I wasn't saying like I rah-rah Elizabeth's actions. I was
Oh,
saying I think that her position and the questions she's grappling with of should she handle it this way or that way and thinking about how to not alienate her and everything like is extremely realistic. However, I do think she should have taken some different actions and behaviors.
right. So just as someone who was kind of like listening while you were talking,
Mm.
some of what you, which I think maybe only one of us was, you applauded how she was like asking questions and trying to approach from and I think the text shows us that she was trying to seem like she accepted more. I don't think she asked a lot of questions. I think you maybe got that from me and how I handled it well.
I think you're right. Because when I was saying that, I was kind of thinking, like, did that happen? Or is just that what Robert said they did?
Oh, but wow. Are we agreeing?
Yeah.
And that's not better than disagreeing,
No, it's not.
but it feels better to me.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
so Kidnapped by the Cult exclamation point. This is book number 82. Kidnapped exclamation point. Book number 13. I tried to make there be something happening there. I don't think there is. Is there any like it's not mathematically evenly
Oh,
divisible? It's
I wasn't thinking about that book at all.
you might think about the book
Ex
Kidnapped?
like I was thinking about it in terms of like the word kidnapped and there being an exclamation point
Yeah.
after it in the title. Because like, but when I was reading the book, I was thinking about Runaway because it felt like this
Oh
book is
yeah.
Runaway plus cult instead of a guy going to San Francisco or something.
I mean, he didn't have the charisma in Runaway to be a cult leader, but it did have a similar kind of.
Everything, literally everything else about the story was exactly the same.
And even that, if they had made it more robust in terms of him having like more a coherent worldview and like, I think we could get him to be a cult leader. Is what I'm trying to say. I think
Wow.
with a little
Nikki Shepherd.
prompting.
You don't think Nikki Shepherd has a coherent worldview? Wow.
I okay. I saw promise in young Nikki Shepherd.
So did I, because he said me because he both the lights off and that's a vibe.
Absolutely. Not only is that
That's
a
called
vibe, but he was
aesthetic.
also like quoting Emily Dickinson.
He was?
Yeah, I'm nobody. Who are you?
Oh.
Which they read in
No,
their high
he
school
wasn't.
class.
No,
Did he not
Robert, you're
quote it?
conflating two books. Can I actually tell you what I think happened, which is making you smarter than you think you even are?
I am smarter than I think I am. That's the most beautiful thing. Is no matter how smart I think I am, I'm even smarter. Continue.
I believe
Hmm.
what happened in that book was Nikki Shepherd was like, it's nobody or something.
Hmm.
And you were like, this reminds me of Emily
Oh,
Dickinson. But then, Robert, in a later book, they
you're right.
explicitly
Then they
read
read
it
it.
in Collins's class, and we said, yay, the thing that was you were picking up implicit before, now they have finally made it explicit, and aren't you the one?
Finally.
And so I think that's what it was.
To circle back, a plot summary of this book is basically the same as Runaway, which is Jessica is feeling taken advantage of, downtrodden, people are shitty to her, and she meets this hypnotizing young man who basically is just like nice to her in kind of a bland, culty kind of way, where it's like, it's really hard. No one understands you. I understand you. It's been like no one, blah, blah, blah. She joins the Good Friends, which is run by Adam Marvel, who is, wouldn't you know, hot.
Mm. And that's the real twist of this book. It's not that it's a cult. It's not that someone gets kidnapped. It's that she thinks he's going to be old and drab and he's hot and wears nice suits.
And Elizabeth has the same reaction. She too is like, oh, he's hot. Who knew? And she gets further and further involved in like just lying to everybody. Sam, her parents, the cheerleading team, PBA, everybody she can lie to, she lies to. So she spends all of her time with Adam Marvel and the cult, which is called Good Friends. I don't know if we said that yet. And coincidentally, Ned's law practice and his expertise expands, and now he's doing cult law. And so he is investigating Good Friends to figure out if they're defrauding charities or purporting to be a charity and not. He finds out all sorts of bad stuff. Meanwhile, Adam Marvel's like, oh shit, the cult's got to move because one of the cult members got quote unquote kidnapped by his parents. And he's going to testify against Good Friends in court. So Good Friends has to move. Jessica's like, should I go with them? Should I not go with them? Should I go with them? Should I not go with them? But then luckily, Elizabeth, Todd, Sam, and the cops show up, rescue her. She doesn't end up going. It turns out that Susan, who was a cult member, and who at first seemed jealous of how Jessica and Adam were getting along so well, was actually a reporter who went in undercover into the cult. Adam then went through her stuff, found out she was a reporter, and then locked her or tied her up in the attic, and they rescued her. So she's one person who is kidnapped by a cult. Interestingly, Brian, the cult member who gets kidnapped by his parents, could also conceivably be kidnapped by a cult if we consider parents to be a cult and what they did to be kidnapping.
You were saying, I think in your plot summary, how Liz mentions the Good Friends cult, what she learned from her dad to Jessica.
Yeah.
Jessica wasn't at that dinner when Ned said, like, so there's this thing.
Because she was at the Good Friends cult, probably.
Right. But what I thought was so funny was that, like, what it should have been was that Liz mentioned it to Jess because she has put two and two fucking together to figure out the fact that, like, that's where Jess is. But no, it's actually a coincidence that she mentions it to her, because the context that she mentions it to her, and I actually died when I read this. I'm like, am I having a neurological event, or am I reading these words on the page? Which is, it literally is like, Liz is literally like, what could be going on with Jess? She's wearing these weird clothes and like acting completely different, lying about where she is, spends all this time. And then Todd's like, I saw some girl that like had that same glazed look on her face and wore weird brown clothes like Jess at the mall, like asking for donations for something called the Good Friends group. And then at dinner, when Jess is gone and lying to everyone about where she is, and Liz is like, what's going on? Ned's like, so let me tell you about this cult I'm learning about, the Good Friends group, and they all should go to jail. And then Liz goes to bed being like, the girl at the mall, the Good Friends group, Jessica being missing. It's like, somehow she knew this was all part of a bigger picture, but she didn't quite have it together yet. And then when Jessica gets home, the reason it gives that she tells her about the Good Friends cult is, ooh, this will give me something to talk to Jessica about and like have her be in a good mood, because she loves gossip.
Yeah.
So guess what, Jess? There's a cult.
It's a good piece of gossip.
But I just thought it was so hilarious that like they had to go out of their way to make Liz not put two and two together, because it literally goes against the actual plot. Like that's so funny.
That's funny. Anything else you had in your note, Phil?
It's more about, I guess, things I thought were good about it that what you said made me think. For example, the fact that like it's called Kidnapped by the, or just interesting, like Kidnapped by the Cult, and we're saying, okay, who's actually kidnapped? You mentioned that when Brian, one of the cult members, gets taken back or whatever by his parents, it's really interesting to hear how it's described. Jessica is with the cult and they're all wondering, where's this guy Brian? And then at dinner, Ned is like, so this guy Brian got snatched back from with his parents. Like, I have good news. This cult kid got snatched. And I'm like, oh, snatched is interesting. And I guess part of it has to do with the fact that like he is a minor and they are able to like
snatch him,
make him go places or whatever.
Snatch that waist, etc.
But then when Jessica's talking to Adam about it, and Adam uses the word he was kidnapped by his parents, to me, what's interesting about it is it shows how skilled a manipulator Adam is, that he is able to constantly be, it's like Trump, like projecting his own misdoings onto others and making himself the victim. And like when Jessica actually asks him about the stuff Ned has been saying about how there's like an investigation on them and they've been doing fraudulent stuff with their charity work. He's like, yeah, it's really sad how there's these fraudulent charities out there that take advantage of good organizations like us. And it's so sad how we have to fight against that, don't we? And I think this is one of the things I thought was really strong about the book is it shows how skilled a manipulator he is. And to speak to actually your 6-word review.
Thank you. Finally.
Did I join a cult?
The answer is yes.
One of the things that I have learned from watching cult documentaries is that part of the way they get you is that half their messages are good.
Yeah.
And like half their stuff is good and like could be very empowering. And like so many times when I watch these cult documentaries, I expect I'm going to watch in the first seminar, you're going to be like, okay, well, this woman's batshit. But it's like, you know, they have all these really things that can be very positive stuff around like having people like you can frame it in terms of like self-accountability and like you have control over your life and helping people feel empowered either over their emotions or their behavior, their life, and they can create the life that they want and all of this type of stuff if they do under these conditions or whatever. And people experience a lot of sometimes positive effects from this. But then what also then happens is the unfalsifiability of like, if anything bad happens to you, it's your fault. And if you're feeling bad about something that the leader did, it's because you have this inner problem or whatever. And like that plus all of the control tactics plus everything else, you know, ends up damaging people. But I think when people think it could never be them, they don't understand that it's not that dumb people are dumb that join cults, right? Like that's another thing I like about this book. Like all she wants is to be seen. All she wants is for someone to show her compassion and like just pay attention when she talks about her troubles and not turn it into a joke.
And it is like her parents are being shitty. Liz is being shit. Like it just reinforced like how, I mean, this is why my 6-word review was, should I join a cult? Because it was just like, it makes so much sense that she did. And yes, there are things that are red flags, etc. But in general, it was like, she doesn't have these kind of positive associations. She doesn't have people who are being like kind to her in really any way. So yeah, the cult is kind to her. And so like, why wouldn't you join a cult? I just want someone to be kind to me.
Yeah. Just on Susan, I think her character is really interesting. And also something I like about the book, because she's one of the signs of like something's not right, right? Jessica, as you said, Jessica comes in and she's kind of surly from the beginning. And then Adam makes it seem like this girl's jealous of Adam's attention on Jessica and she has a romantic crush on him and that's the issue or whatever. And I'm reading it thinking, no, she obviously is like, has been abused by him and like, or whatever it is. But she's the like counterpoint to some of these people. But then at the end, it turns out she's a reporter. And I'm just kind of like, why did that need to be the case? Why did she need, like, it's interesting enough to have someone who, there are so many that didn't make anything happen in the plot. It didn't, to me, reveal anything interesting about anyone. Why did she need to be a reporter? But what was interesting about it, because she could have done the whole Get Out scene without that. Like she could have been just victimized by this guy, which she, you know what I mean? So her being a reporter, I'm like, why? But I think the Get Out thing was kind of interesting because, which is like her telling Jess, like, get out.
Well, her telling Liz disguised as Jess.
Because remember how we talked about once before that like the thing of the old creepy stories? Remember that story that creeped you about the person driving?
Yeah, no, I don't want to, yeah.
And I said that is actually one of these very scary motifs is that like the one you think is the bad guy is the helper and the helper is the bad guy.
I hate
and that's what happens
chills.
But I think that the character of Susan kind of is a really interesting thing of that in this book, right? It's like the one who is seeming like the safe one, Adam, is actually the perp who is tying people up. And like Susan, who Jessica thinks is against her, is actually trying to like communicate to her, get out for your own good.
And it's so interesting. I mean, I'm sure you were going to talk about this anyways, but it's so interesting that her name is Susan, which of course reminds us all of Salt and Peppa's smash hit, What a Man. He knows that my name is not Susan. And I think so much of what Jessica sees in Adam and the way that she identifies him as, and I quote, what a man, is that he distinguishes between her and shows her favorable kind of regard and special treatment and Susan. He knows that her name is not Susan. Sorry if I stepped on what you were about to say that. I'm sorry.
Well, I wasn't going to say it because I just felt like it was too obvious. It didn't need to be said.
Shit. Yeah, you're right. Shit. Classic me. Do you want to do the B plot?
The B plot is Liz and Todd are losing their shit because they have a new extracurricular activity. They've decided to join a quote unquote bowling league. And it turns out the guy who runs it is hot. And
Yeah.
he is hot for Liz. And his name is Justin Silver, and he's Jewish, we think. And Robert has something to say.
So you said a quote unquote bowling league. And I think it's really important to make clear that it is actually a bowling league because I had assumed it was a quote unquote bowling league, like some kind of euphemism, just based on how batshit excited and weird they all act about how great bowling is and how we can't wait to be a part of it. And so I did think this was some kind of euphemism or some kind of new thing. And then no, it's bowling. It's bowling. And Justin Silver wants Liz and Liz, I think, is interested in Justin Silver.
You don't have to say you think. She says she acknowledges it.
But I think it too. Liz and I both think that Liz is interested in Justin Silver. Wait, why was that so funny? Why is that so funny? What's okay? She's snorking. She took a big Awala sip, and then she snorked it out when I said that Liz and I agree that Liz is interested in Justin Silver. And I really genuinely do not understand why that's funny.
If I would have just choked and died, it would be your fault.
Everything is always my fault.
So
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
she's hot for bowling guy, and
he's
bowling
hot for
guy's
her.
hot. He's hot for her, and she's setting her boundaries and telling him, "Listen, me and Todd are planning to stay that way." And
Me and Todd are planning to stay that way.
and he's like, "But you're so pretty," and he's obsessed with how pretty she is. And then she like has lunch with him, and all he can talk about is how pretty she is, and she's like, "You're annoying."
But you're hot.
And then it ends or whatever. Like nothing. It doesn't. She like realizes he's even especially annoying because she like needs Todd because this emergency happens of getting Jessica from the cult, and then she's like tells Todd about it because she felt bad. She didn't tell Todd that this guy had a crush on her, and Todd the whole time can tell. And I actually felt for Todd because the whole time he's dealing with it by making these like half jokes.
Yeah, they're not
And at some
jokes.
point, at some point, I actually really felt sympathy for him. He's so stressed out and like he keeps trying to make these jokes and like at one point Liz negs him so hard and it ends a chapter. It's like end of chapter 2 or 3 or something where he's like, yeah, it seems like that guy's giving you special attention. He's definitely into you. And she's like, don't worry, Todd. Even though Justin is handsome and smart and cute and good at bowling and cool and sexy, like I only want you. Haha.
For some
I'm like,
reason.
wow. I'm like, that reminds me of the letter that David, don't know how to pronounce his name, Harbour, the note that he gave to Lily Allen before she went on her play. And the note said, these are bad luck flowers. It said something like, because if you do well, you're going to like totally outshine me and I'll be so sad. Haha. You're like, that's dark.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you could say there's a parallel between the plots because Liz is also like, there's moments where she's like in bed, kind of like thinking about his gray eyes and or whatever it is, and she's sort of like really enjoying the attention from him. But then at the end, she confronts the reality of him, which is much shallower and more annoying and less maybe exciting than she thought. It does make us wonder, the last book, Todd was being annoying about Bruce and the fraternity, and she was being bothered by that. In this book, she's being attracted to this guy, and then when he's attracted to her back, looking in the mirror and being like, maybe things are exciting in my life. And you're like, okay. And I don't know. I'm like, is she getting bored with Todd? Is she realizing she made a mistake and should have stayed with Jeffrey? Also, I think it cannot be ignored that Justin Silver also has blonde hair and gray eyes.
Yeah.
Gray eyes, which is the famous characteristic of Sam.
Yeah.
Jessica's hot new boyfriend, okay? And it's like, there's literally a sentence where it's like, Liz kept thinking about his gray eyes. I'm like, that is a That's a specific, and I'm just clocking it.
Please clock it. I am interested. I thought that you were going to talk about the parallels between the plots in terms of Good Friends and the Bowling League being presented as kind of similar forces of social cohesion and having like a light side and a dark side. But was that potentially too
But the
obvious?
bowling league is dark.
Not in the way that the cult is. I mean,
No,
bowling
Justin's
is
not
dark, but
chloroforming people.
yeah.
You want to guess the taglines?
Will Jessica get away from the cult?
It's not a question.
Yeah, I want it to be something like, with nowhere to turn, Jessica counts on some good friends.
That's not it.
Okay.
It's 4 words with
Oh,
with an exclamation point.
watch out for cult! Exclamation point.
Jessica's in desperate trouble.
That's true.
On the back,
Is it our typical something something dot dot dot?
it's 4 words, dot, dot, dot. And it is like, it's an expression.
Oh.
It's an expression that is in registered in the vernacular. A place that expressions love to be registered
It's
into.
only
Just kidding. They like to be registered into registers, obviously.
a dark cloud approaches dot dot dot.
Is that a phrase? A dark cloud approaches?
I probably not. I don't think
I
it's
think
in
dark
register.
cloud is a phrase,
Yeah,
maybe,
sorry.
something. No, I'm asking. I haven't heard it. I mean, a dark cloud approaches. Maybe this is something everyone's saying.
Something wicked this way comes is what I want it to be, but that's too many letters or words.
That'd be amazing. It's 4 words.
Yeah, it's too many words I have. Am I going to get this or no?
It's very in registered. Not as in registered as something wicked this week. I mean, not as specific where you think that's from Macbeth or whatever it's from, but it's a phrase you see all the time in the culture. Like you could see it in an advertisement. You could see it it's very in registered. There's alliteration involved.
Is it cult related? Is it bad?
It's ambiguous. It's actually ambiguous. I think it's a good one.
Living your best life.
Think about forces. Think of more of a systems level.
Forces.
Like, don't think about this is saying something about forces. Gosh.
Like opposites attract?
I don't know
but
why I didn't think
longer?
of this. I gotta do doo-doo. Doo-doo. I gotta do doo-doo. That's the only way you're gonna, because I'm doo-doo, because I don't have any good clues for this. It's not your fault. It's me. I don't know how
No,
to
it's
explain
nobody's
it.
fault.
No, it has to be someone's fault.
That's true.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. No. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. That's how you would say it.
Do 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 do.
Yeah. Yep.
Do 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 do.
Okay, the first word,
Mm-hmm.
the.
Hmm.
The third word,
The power of suggestion? The power of persuasion. The power of persuasion. I said it. Sorry for screaming.
you said it. 100% you said it, Robert. Yes, wonderful.
The power of persuasion. That is so in registered. You could see
Isn't it more
an
in registered than a dark?
advertisement?
Isn't it more in registered than dark cloud approaches?
Yeah.
Like you could
And
totally
it's-
see it in like a mascara ad, like the power of persuasion, like persuasion lashes or whatever. Like,
I
or you
love
could
that.
see it in like a deodorant ad and a lady in a boardroom, and it's like the power of persuasion or something, or like
Okay, I think
gum.
yeah,
Okay.
I think maybe we could. I feel like you maybe got caught in a loop there, and I'd love to kind of because we have been now recording just this segment, not even including our administrative foibles, for over an hour.
That can't be so.
I too wish that cannot be so. but
Okay.
Cover.
Here's the cover. Oh, and we haven't told them. Go to our Instagram to look at the cover at Sweet Valley Hive. We'll give you the right one and the real one.
Okay. So this is sad Jess wearing a bright purple shirt and black jeans, which she would not, and holding a good friend's collection jar because she's raising money. She so notably toned down her wardrobe in the text that the idea that they're still giving her this bright purple shirt makes no sense to me.
No, but shows like there's still little Jess left in there, you know?
No,
Yeah, because her jeans are so faded.
no. Adam Marvel is standing there in a black leather jacket, white shirt, blue jeans, which I also, or is that Sam?
I read it as Sam.
I think it's Sam. Then who is this? Who is in the white shirt and the blue jeans and the red? Is that Adam Marvel? I hope not.
I
Is that
believe Adam
Ted?
Marvel is not depicted. Yeah, I believe I read it as that's Ted, and we unfortunately don't have Adam Marvel, which maybe is interesting. We don't have him on the cover, I don't think. Because to me, the guy on the left in leather jacket has to be Sam, because even though Adam Marvel also has blonde hair, Sam, the leather jacket makes sense for him. Plus, he's has his arms open, like she's turning away from him very much. And that
Yeah.
makes, I feel like, more sense with the plot. And then Ted, it's like the freckles and red hair were so specific, so I feel like it has to be him,
Even though
even
he,
though I'd rather see Adam.
yeah, he does. Ted is not a big enough character that he should be on the cover.
I completely agree. Maybe they wanted to make it be Adam, and they were like, but Adam and Sam are both gonna have blonde hair, and then who's gonna know who? But it's so obvious, you can just put Adam in a nice suit. Maybe
Yeah,
they thought they couldn't draw him as hot as they called him, because like we also never saw Andrea Slade's dad, Jamie Peters, and like he could have been on that.
I agree with that. No, it doesn't agree.
All right.
Are we doing the
I
reader of the
know,
month?
yeah, I know you don't like it, but we have to. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Jamie Tabor, I want to say, from Kentucky, and here they are.
Hi, Jamie.
Now, recently we had someone who never met an adjective they didn't like. And I would
Please.
say that Jamie never met a superlative
Oh.
they didn't like. Ready? Sweet Valley books are extraordinary. I like reading them because they cause suspense and are very emotional. I have read them since I was in third grade, and they have grown with me. My mom read them and gave them to me. And I was thinking a lot about, did they mean that the mom read them as a child? Because that's not possible, I don't think, at this point. So they meant the mom read them to like make sure they're legit for the child to read, or did the mom read them for pleasure? I have questions. And when I have children, I plan to give my books to them to read, and I hope they pass them down too.
They won't. Wait, that was
Sweet
funny?
Valley. Sweet Valley books aren't just stories. They are like lessons in life. They actually helped me to know what to expect for junior high before I got there. The books are so realistic and they make you feel like you are actually there. When Jessica and Elizabeth go on vacations, I go with them and feel their experiences and tragedies. They also help me understand other people's morals.
Hmm.
Sweet Valley books are my best friends.
Ooh. Desperate trouble this young person is in.
They might have been my best friends. Jessica and
Wait, is
Elizabeth
that
are like
true?
this.
Do you feel that way?
No.
Okay.
Jessica and Elizabeth are like the sisters, but they were close. I never had. But what I'm really trying to say is that Sweet Valley books aren't just a series of books. They are a legend of reading. They
What?
are what they are a legend of reading.
What?
They are,
Sorry. They are a legend of reading? What do you mean by like a legend? What do you like? I literally cannot parse that
I know.
sentence. Okay,
I
sorry.
know. No, I'm with you. But I kind of get it, you know?
Okay.
They are what gave this era, they are what gave this era a great series of books, period.
Sorry. Is she are they a time traveler or something? Because like for them to
Yeah.
label that this is what
Yeah.
gave the era, like well
Yeah.
in the era, seems hard to
Yeah.
imagine. So this is a time traveler.
This is so freaky. It's because it's like how we would describe, it's like, why are you being nostalgic? It's like you're there. Like, why are you being like, oh yeah, this era, this golden era of YA literature? It's like, what?
You're
You're
in
10,
it.
you're reading it now. It's 1981. What are you doing?
91. Yeah.
Okay. Legend of Reading that what gave this era a great series of, this is so weird. Just the phrasing. They are what gave this era a great series of books. Like, they are what gave
They are
this
what gave.
era. They are what gave is crazy. Because it could have said like even just even
They
if it said
gave.
they gave, it still would be it's so incomprehensible. Okay. They are the best and surpass all the others, and I hope they grow into infinity.
I too hope they grow into infinity. So
They
one
are what
thing I
gave.
want to say,
They are what gave.
they're giving. Do you think they had very few applicants, and so they just were like at this point they're like, well, we got to take the time traveler, and we don't have time to edit their response, so here we go.
Yeah, the quality has not necessarily been consistent.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know what happened. I'm curious what we're gonna see
I look forward to it.
forward. Okay.
Are you gonna vote?
Now, yeah, well, are we?
We have to. We've now been recording for 2 hours, and we have not cracked the book yet.
Fine, I have one more general thing to say, but I guess I could
Say it.
find
Nope,
time
I want to hear it now.
because otherwise I might forget.
God forbid.
Okay,
Okay.
another six-word review could have been Melrose Place ripped off this book because this book is literally that when I don't know if you remember when Sydney joins a cult,
Yeah, of course.
but it's literally like don't make such face because you could have actually brought it up and you did it. Because when Sydney joins a cult, it's first of all, I've remarked before on how Sydney and Jane is literally the Jessica Liz archetypes, except not being twins, but like everything else about their personalities and their dynamic is. And what happens in that is that Sydney is like feeling like everyone hates her and everyone blames her for stuff, and she's so sad, and they don't even like her chicken or whatever, just like how Jess was. Okay, maybe there's no chicken, but
Well,
she
there's
has
not
a
chicken in
drink.
this book either. That was a previous book. That was Runaway.
That's what I was referencing.
Oh, I think we're referencing this book, the book we're supposed to be talking about.
No, there's famously no chicken in this book, Robert. That would be strange. So anyway, Sydney joins this cult, and then there's this like pivotal scene which I remembered from childhood and found today, and I'd be happy to share with you if you want to watch it. But basically, literally, like happens in this, it's like you see the headlights, and Jane and Jake show up,
Yeah.
and she's like, Sydney, come with me. And Sydney's like, no, I'm happy here. Like, go back to not even caring about me at all. And she's like, but Sid, you gotta come. And Sid's like, no. And the guy and the people at the cult like have their guns, and the guy's really creepy. And he's like, I think Sydney said like she's gonna want us to actually stay here. And then what happens after they leave is like, I think what happens is I didn't get to this part today in the scene I watched, but I think from what I remember, it's like either Jane sees the look on Sydney. I think she just sees the look on Sydney's face, and she basically is communicating to her like help. And so she like makes Jake turn around and they go save her or whatever. Or she actually mouths to her help. One of those two things happens. Anyway, it's so good. It's just like this.
Sydney's happy here. She has a job, many friends, which, from what I understand, are things you two took away from her.
Sydney, get in the car. For God's sake, give me some credit for once, will ya? I finally found people who love me for who I am. Jane, do us all a favor and leave. Sydney, are you sure? Yes. I need to stay.
I have a vivid mental picture of that. I also picture her coming from underground. Was she underground at all with the cult, or was that a separate thing? Like physically under the surface of the earth?
I almost wonder if you're thinking of, and I don't know if this was 90210 or Melrose Place, but one of them there was something where someone wakes up and they're underground in a box, and then you see on top there's like a scorpion or something, and like they're in Mexico. That happened on one of those two shows, but I'm blanking on which one it was. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of for underground.
I'll keep thinking.
Could Sydney have had another underground experience? All right, that'll be for our next podcast.
We should do a Melrose Place podcast. Do you think do people care? I mean, people don't care about this, so I guess why would
We
I?
should, because like I'm hardcore, and I know you're like
Medium
between-
core.
You're medium core, and I'm hardcore, which is
The
how I like
perfect.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, can I drive my vote?
Yeah.
It was a fantastic party, Carl Walker said to Lila Fowler. Those Christmas lights you strung across the living room were so romantic. Lila Fowler smiled. What can I say? I'm a great hostess. Lila was a daughter of one of the richest men in Sweet Valley, and modesty was not part of her personality. Amy Sutton shook her head. The barbecue was even better, she said, especially when Winston and Ken jumped into the pool without their clothes on. Friday night was terrific, too, Sandra Bacon said. She rolled her eyes. Whose idea was it to order that chocolate chip pizza? She turned to Lila. It's a good thing your dad wasn't there. So from reading this, I was like, something is off. What's going on? And then I was like, oh, what's off is that Jess's voice is absent because she is grounded and she is not there. And I was like, oh, this is a really effective way of starting the book in a place where it feels like Jess is already being overlooked and excluded. Did you feel that way?
I also felt like something was off, maybe for a different reason though.
Oh, no.
Maybe the fact that it starts with referring to events from before the book starts, that felt maybe unusual to me that they're like, it's one thing to be like, that party on Friday was great, but to be like, that party on Friday was great. And then the next thing on Saturday was even awesome. And then on Sunday, there was Christmas lights. And on Monday, there was hot dogs or whatever. And it's like, why are we hearing so much about this stuff that isn't even in this book? And it's like, oh, because they're situating us where like Jessica already, because in case we didn't explain it, like this is a build from in the previous book, she got grounded because she neglected her math grade and ended up failing or something.
Hmm.
And she got grounded and was pissed off about it. And she already was feeling like challenged to have enough time with Sam. And that being kind of a stressor with her boyfriend, and like trying to figure out how to manage that, whatever. So that's like already building tension. And so then in this book, we're starting from the place where like people are reflecting and celebrating this fun that already she's been missing. So we're starting already from that place of grumpy, like resentment. But then I thought it was interesting how similar to Runaway, it gives her these chances to be optimistic. Like it's not like she's just starts grumpy and gets grumpier and then goes to the cult. There are these moments where she tries to like have a positive attitude, or where she wakes up one day and she's not grounded anymore and she's looking forward to everything. But then when it doesn't go necessarily as planned, she gets into a funk. But yeah, her parents are also assholes. Anyway, okay.
Um, Jess is like feels very left out and sad, and it is interesting because it's like it just feels so accurate. Like the rest of the girls are just, I don't think they really mean to be rubbing in her face, except maybe Lila. It's just that they really did have a good time, but Jess is just feeling so left out. And Lila goes, "It's your own fault, Jessica. You really have no one else to blame." And Jess's response just feels so 16. This is like really what set me off to be like, oh my God, I need to join a cult. Because she goes, it just so happened that she could think of several other people to blame. And she like runs through blaming her parents, blaming Elizabeth, blaming her friends. Um, and so it felt very like accurate and very 16 to me. And I really loved it.
I do think that similar to other books, in some cases, people were being shitty or insensitive or rude to her. And in some cases, I think she just was a little bit wanting to see that, or that being amplified, which felt realistic.
So then Kara shares that she's going to London for the week. And it's just like one more nail in the coffin,
Especially because Jess was born to travel! Exclamation point.
which is true. And she goes, "Well, I've got to go to the library." And then no one's paying attention. She goes, "Or maybe I'll just throw myself in front of a truck." I'm like, "Oh, you're funny."
Ned's an asshole.
Who's an asshole?
Ned.
So can I, before we get to Ned being an asshole, um, so Jessica's grounded and her boyfriend Sam is driving from Bridgewater to Sweet Valley to pick her up and take her home. And he's supposed to stay for dinner. But his bike has been damaged. And so he's going home as soon as possible to work on his bike, even though he doesn't need it until Saturday and it's only Tuesday. And he cannot understand why she's mad at him. And I was like, wait, I side with Jessica on everything. Like, his plan was to drive from Bridgewater to Sweet Valley, drive her home, so interact with her for 5 minutes, and then go back and work on his bike. I would be pissed too.
I don't know. What are the stakes of the rally on Saturday? Is this like a big event? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? If it's a big race, like maybe he does need to do that in advance. Maybe he doesn't know how long it's going to take. I don't know. Maybe he needs to do it now so he can get a certain amount of practice in before the thing. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I need more data, as my friend would say.
Then we get the new bowling team, and honestly, the way that they talk about the bowling team, I was like, is this really about bowling? And I guess they have to make it sound really jazzy because Liz is trying to make it seem like she has some new cool thing she can do, and it's a one more thing Jess can't do. You mentioned her like waking up excited on Saturday being ungrounded, and This to me just reinforced, like, it reinforced to me the bad parenting that Ned and Alice do, where the grounding was clearly not a natural consequence of anything. Because it's not like there's a world in which it could be like, okay, you can't do any extracurriculars except cheerleading until your grade improves. But to have it just randomly be 3 weeks and then Saturday it just expires and she's ungrounded even though nothing's really changed just seemed really strange to me. And I was like, oh, parenting was bad in the 90s.
I also thought it was bad parenting because Jessica doesn't want to get a bad grade. Like, Jessica likes to keep her grades up.
Yeah.
And she already is going to be motivated to figure this out, I think. Like, it's not like she, do you know what I mean? Like, this got out of her control in a way that I don't think she's going to want to sustain, like, keep that going that way.
Yeah.
So I think she would naturally,
I agree.
like, I would love if they would talk to her about, hey, like, why do you think this happened or whatever? And then maybe they could actually have a productive conversation around her challenges balancing her new relationship, which she hasn't had a serious relationship since AJ. And that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like something new for her, and balancing that against her other, she's a very busy girl. She has a lot of extracurriculars and her grades and everything. And so, like, that could have been a time when maybe they could actually support her and say, like, well, I don't know, like, let's think what would help or whatever. And like, instead, the way they deal with it, like you said, is this arbitrary punishment. And 3 weeks to me feels like a really long time, considering Jess is doing a million activities every day. It's like so much a part of her well-being, and like she thrives in all of her social roles and activities. It's like, you know, that this is she's going to come out at the end of this 3 weeks feeling lower. And no, it's not like she's going to spend this 3 weeks studying or whatever. Like, she's going to come out feeling, or maybe she will, but I don't think she's going to come out of this feeling better or better equipped to handle her life.
I agree. I do think one of us needs to mommy move along just because we're coming up on hour 4 of the record.
Well, I had nothing to say in chapter 1 anyway.
Okay, but
I don't need to say anything but chapter 2.
You don't want to talk about the fact that Dairy Burger all of a sudden is offering brunch?
Breakfast?
And what they're offering is donuts and coffee. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was so strange. Like, since fucking when?
It comes up several times in this text. So this time Jess is meeting Sam for Dairy Burger, but they make it very clear that just donuts and coffee are what's offered at Dairy Burger for breakfast.
No, I want donuts.
And coffee. I also feel complicated where, like, this is Jess's first day of freedom, and so she just wants to do something fun. Sam, it's the day of the race that he's been spending all week on. And I totally get that Jess is like, I don't want to come watch you race. I want to do something fun. But like, Sam does need to do this race. And so it just felt like an uncomfortable situation where there was really no way to win.
I agree. When Sam was like, come on, Jess, I've been talking about this. You know that was today. I'm like, okay, that's legitimate. Like, she should have listened or whatever when he talked. On the other hand, if it's raining, I wouldn't want to stand around in the mud.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, they should just fucking split up. I don't mean forever.
Well, maybe.
Then she is at the mall. Yeah. And she has her. Yeah. Just one thing that I thought was pretty interesting was she becomes so frustrated. She's trying to cheer herself up, and she just ends up sort of spinning into a bigger and bigger frustration, and kind of just getting herself into a tailspin about how everyone is mean to her, etc. And then the thing that puts her over the edge is she sees a bunch of girls shopping with bags, and it reminds her of her friends. And then an enormous lump forms in her throat. She was right. Everyone was loved and happy except for her. With a strangled sob, Jessica burst into tears. And then this part I thought was fascinating. Jessica Wakefield was not the sort of person who cried in public. If you had to cry, she believed, it was better to do it in the privacy of your own room where no one could see your red eyes or blotchy skin. That is, the old, popular, and adored Jessica Wakefield didn't cry in public. But the new, misunderstood, and unloved Jessica did. She was far too upset now to worry about the state of her mascara. Weeping loudly, she flung herself onto the first bench she came to and collapsed in a flood of tears. And this felt really rich to me and layered, actually. I could see you saying this being very developmentally, like, black and white, right? It's like she's in this mood, and now she's decided that, like, well, that was the old her, and this is the new her, and she's going to these extremes, right? That she's referring to herself as the new, misunderstood, and unloved Jessica. It is funny, but just also sort of deciding that, like, that's the role she's taking on because it is so performative. They they make an effort to show that she's not just thinking to herself, well, the new Jessica's unloved, so who gives a shit? I am just going to cry in public. She doesn't just do that and go sit in a bench and cry or in the bathroom. She loudly weeps. She flings herself onto a bench and she collapses in a flood of tears, which is very consistent with, the way we've seen her before, how she is this way. And so she is maybe inviting some attention. And it's just so interesting to see her cast herself in this new role and say, okay, well, it's also like, how can I make this work for me? It's like, well, maybe this is the new Jess. I'm like, it sort of reminds me of my crazy ex-girlfriend.
Oh,
do you remember that song, her like romantic French depression?
Yes.
It reminds me of that, where it's like, if I'm gonna be this, it might as well be the like romantic version of it.
My eyes are dark from sadness. My lips are red from pain. My bosom heaves with sobs. I'm in a sexy French depression.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting the way that when Jessica is popular and adored, she will cry in private because she doesn't want that kind of attention. But when Jessica is getting no attention, she's going to cry in public because she could at least use it for attention. And so I was wondering if you're going to use the P word around this, and then you did. And I think
Which of course isn't a bad thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't mean her tears aren't real. In fact, they're realer.
Actually, they're more real, Robert.
Yeah, of course. You think I don't know that?
You think I don't know that you actually know that?
Okay, so you're performatively telling me that, which is also still telling me that, which is meaningful to me. But it's interesting to think about the purpose that tears serve. And so if you had to cry, it was better to do it in the privacy of your own room, because like you're being forced to deal with this and you want to do it on your own in a quiet way, because it's the tears are not serving a purpose. They should be hidden away from the public view. And now she's like, well, actually, tears can sometimes be purposeful, and maybe I should use them for my advantage. And I think it's just interesting and smart. And then
are being the pragmatic. You're taking the pragmatic perspective to language and saying, we understand the meaning of language or utterances, not by referential meaning, God forbid. What do they cause to happen? What activities do they engender in the world?
I was going to say engender. In my head, I was thinking engender. Look at us.
Yeah, and they engender a freckled boy.
They engender this freckled boy, Ted.
I felt that the freckles was them saying childlike signal. He's innocent. You don't have to worry about him. He's not like a predator, Okay. Even though he is. When Ted is talking to Jess and telling her about the group or telling her about Adam, he's talking about how Adam helped him out and whatever his story is. He ran away from home. He goes, and then he invited me to live with a group of people called the Good Friends. Jessica came out of her trance. Oh, see, that's what I was referencing.
Yes.
Ted did put her in a hypnosis. It said a couple. Yeah.
She listened almost spellbound. Then she came out of her trance. Great.
Jessica came out of her trance at the mention of the word group. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she could see her sister looking skeptical. Group? Jessica asked. What kind of group? I loved this because it's like, while he's talking, she is being drawn into it. And there's a part of her that also sees the red flags. But the fact that she frames it to herself or processes this or experiences this in terms of taking on Elizabeth's imagined perspective is so interesting. It's like, because, and I wonder, I don't know what to make exactly of it, but it's like, it shows that she still trusts her. It shows like almost that there's still loyalty there. It's like she still trusts her perspective, because otherwise it would just be she or herself took it back at the word group and said, well, what do you mean by, like, why and bring her in, right? And to me, that's saying like, because deep down, she's still tied to that.
Yeah, she sees Jessica as she's played into this twin dichotomy thing. She sees Elizabeth as the rational one, and she's like using her as the kind of personification of rational thoughts. The other thing that's interesting about the way that Ted talks is that he offers like literally no specifics. It's very culty. He just says like, my parents treated him like a child. My friends weren't there when I needed them. I felt like everyone in the world let me down. I was all alone. Nobody cared. And it's like empty platitudes that give us almost nothing.
Yes, and this
That's
is
how this
one of the
works.
red flags. And same when they started talking about their like quote unquote charity work, it like literally couldn't be vaguer. They say like Adam says we should do good works.
Yep.
And she's like, good works? So they're like, we raise money for charity. And I'm like, someone ask which charity.
Yeah, anybody, just literally a name. I'd love to see their website.
All right.
So she drives over to the good friend's house. And I do think it's interesting that you highlighted that her initial red flag, she personified her sister and was like, her sister looks, or not personified, she conjured the image of her sister and her sister looks skeptical. Now she has her own intuition that things are weird. She gets the address that Tid gave her and she wondered whether she was making a mistake. She feels she turns off the ignition but doesn't remove her hand from the key. Jessica shuddered.
That's because she's in a quote unquote like a poor neighborhood. This is a class thing. I mean, a lot of it.
It
too.
is and it isn't. I think she is. I think it's so tempting to just read this as a class thing. So tempting on its face. And I think that she is responding to some kind of sinister elements here that go beyond class.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like the home of Wicked Witch of the West. That to me conjures a sinister image that is not class-based, as is so tempting from the other text. And so I do think
no, but that literally is class-based because what is conjuring it if not the dilapidated nature? This is where poor people live. The paint is peeling, etc. It's not that there's a hat on the yard. There's not the broom on the yard and a hat and someone saying, "Give me my cauldron."
Yeah, I do agree that there are no
not someone riding a broom going.
But that was beautiful.
Wicked ripped off this book.
Wicked ripped off this book, which is weird.
I meant Wicked the book.
Oh, I meant Wicked the musical. But I guess it makes sense that Wicked the musical ripped off this book if Wicked the musical ripped off the book, Wicked, which ripped off the book.
Yeah, it's like what's it called? When it's like if A
and like a syllogism.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it moving, unfortunately. I do think that initially she's responding to the class, but I also think she senses some sinister, that she almost like some ineffable sinisterness that she can't even put words to.
So ineffable it's not in the book, and I think it's really tempting to think that. What you think? I think that's very tempting.
Well, I think it's tempting because it's intellectually rigorous. It makes sense.
All right. Like many poor people's homes we've seen before, the shabbiness of the outside is belying the warmth, coziness, and cheerfulness of the inside.
Absolutely.
Red flags when, they're constantly saying Adam says, and they say Adam says something and Jessica goes, he has a point. And then the guy's like, it's not a point, it's the truth. I'm like, alarm bell, alarm bell, alarm bell. Again, there's lots of things positive and nice about this. They're doing communal living. They have a chores wheel. They all contribute. They garden or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, there was, when I was in grad school, there was a million like houses in Philadelphia, like communal houses where people literally did pretty much like they were exactly like this, down to the fucking Indian carpet, curtain fucking things or whatever. No, there's no curtains. And like they also didn't have TVs because they had attitude about that. But there's a lot of nice things about it. And they're genuinely interested in her.
They are. I think their interactions with her are really sweet. I don't think I've ever known a cheerleader before. Me either, to tell you the truth. I never thought cheerleaders had problems like other people. But Adam says that everyone has problems. What makes us different is the way we handle them. It's just like, it seems like they do really care. Yeah.
Again, Adam's manipulation. The chapter ends with, so she's spellbound by him and he's hot and everything. And he suggests that just leave so that she's not going to be too late, that her parents will be worried. And that is reinforcing her thinking, oh, of course he's benign, etc. It's like he's very skillful.
I mean, he's so skillful. He initially says, don't tell me, in a rich, warm voice. This must be Jessica Wakefield. Ted told me all about you this afternoon. He was so glad he met you. He squeezed her hand. I would have known you anywhere. There's just this, I think the book does a really, really good job distilling down what makes a good cult leader. Like I'm impressed by the way that they accurately capture that.
My feeling is that so much of this just has to do with the simple thing of feeling seen. Like these people that have the skill that when they look at you, you're the only person in the world, there's sun shining on you or whatever. It's like, because so many people just are not, don't feel that they're seen by
Hmm.
anyone.
I thought
Uh,
narratively it was interesting the way that the story is told, where um it's like it seems almost like movie style or something, where she meets Adam. He says, "Oh, were you going to leave?" And she says, "No, I wasn't going anywhere." And then there's a break, and then it's Jessica getting home and reminiscing about her time with the good friends and with Adam. And I said it was like an interesting way to tell that. And it lets the like narratively, it lets her be reminiscing about Adam, but still be at home, so that Elizabeth can come in and mention the bowling club, and we can see the kind of parallels between the bowling club and the cult.
it also, I think, is on a more practical level, a way to just, and maybe we could take a cue from them, kind of speed things along because there's so much that has to happen. Like a lot has to happen. She has to go
Yeah.
back and forth. So, yeah, they can't show us that whole night, I guess.
Yeah.
Because then they have to go clean the garage the next day. We get 10 hours of that or whatever it is.
Yeah, we do get 10 hours of cleaning the garage.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. She knows he can help solve her problems. She makes pancakes and wears brown clothing. Ew, Adam calling her mature and hugging her.
Oh yeah, groomer.
Oh, so interesting. In the middle of page 4, when he's talking
Page
about how,
4?
oh, I'm sorry, chapter 4.
Thank God. I was like, we can't go back to page 4 now.
When she's talking to Adam about being part of a group, and he's like, he tells her being part of a group is so great. And she's like, well, yeah, I have always liked being a cheerleader and being in PBA. And he goes, admit it, Jess, when you're doing your cheers or being the sorority, don't you want to be the best cheerleader or the most popular Pi Beta Alpha? And she's like, well, everyone does. And he goes, don't you see? As long as you feel like that, you're not really part of the group. You're competing with the group. And she's like, I never thought about it that way before. And this is so, so powerful. Telling her that her group experiences like don't count if there's an element of like personal ambition or competitiveness or whatever. And like I think that does a lot of things. It first of all is one of the chips at driving her away from her current communities, and saying that like they're not good for her. But what it also does is set up this paradox where he's telling her completely conflicting messages, which is now he tells her like to be part of good friends or whatever, you basically have to like sublimate your identity or whatever, or like personal ambitions. Like it's about contributing, like don't think about yourself being the best, etc. And but then later she thinks to herself, he told me I'm exceptional and he sees that I'm special. And that's why I want to join this group. So it's like, well, which one is it? And the fact that he sort of keeps these both available is what helps him keep control on them, because he can give them this feeling that he's giving them this like attention or affection, but then he can always come back to this thing of like, well, no, this isn't about your needs. Your needs aren't important. It's about the group. And which is very confusing.
It's confusing and really interesting because so this is chapter 4. In chapter 5, they go out and raise money, and Adam goes out of his way to point out that Jess is the one who made the most money. He's like, "Oh, you did so well. You're so special. You're the," and it's he's able to have these inconsistencies, but he is silver-tongued enough. See what I did there? Because Justin Silver from the other one. He's silver-tongued enough that Jessica doesn't get caught up in it. So it's like, okay, here, yes, but later, no, and that's fine. And like he's doing it both times. He like explicitly makes this thing competitive. It's interesting.
And he also uses it to pit them against each other because Susan, just forgetting for the moment that she's a reporter because it literally doesn't matter, but taking the like surface level narrative, which would have actually made more sense to the actual plot, let's just pretend that like the idea that like she used to be his special girl or whatever, and now has been tossed in favor of Jess, which is a thing that happens a lot in these cults because I see it on the documentaries all the time. Like that's also a way for him to like gaslight them, you know? And like when because he's being abusive and he's like extractive and using them for his purposes and then gonna discard them, it's like, well, that never happened anyway, because like of course you're not special, because like no one's special.
Yeah. It's like Gaslight, Gatekeep, Cultboss, you know?
Oh my God. Can I say the last thing I'll ever say about something else? Please, please, please.
Yes, please let it be the
Okay.
last thing.
My favorite, I might have told you this before because it's one of my favorite pieces of media I've ever seen. Because like when I see it, I laugh so hard. I laugh, 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 laugh. My favorite thing I've ever seen in any cult documentary was there was this Netflix documentary called like, I forget what, I'll find it.
Can we
But
talk
it was
just
about some,
very quickly about how you having a favorite portion of a cult documentary is like
it's one
such a red
scene.
flag?
It's one scene.
Such
No,
a red flag. You know,
no,
of all the cult documentaries, all of the documentaries have been so enjoyable to me personally, but this one scene is really my favorite of the scenes. Red flag. Continue.
it's actually the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's so funny that I die. It's like one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I'll go watch it now after we talk.
If there is an after.
This guy is like talking about how like in whatever the cult is, his job was to cut up the fruit for like the master. And he goes like, I never got to interact directly with like the master person, but like by preparing the master person's food, I felt like that was a very, very sacred special offering. I'm going to put everything I have into this. Like I'm going to take pride in my work and like
Beautiful.
this is my connection. This is my connection to him. I'm going to make it the most amazing thing I can. He goes, so I started turning it into art. He goes, I started making these, and he basically like over the years, whatever, like this becomes his craft where it's like, and they show him making these like beautiful scenes and these beautiful like things. And then he's like, and I knew that like the master was gonna see my art and like that was special. And he's like, and then one day I went into the kitchen and I saw they just dump it in a blender and like make a smoothie for the master person, right? No one even looks at it. And he's like, but I still kept doing it every day after that.
That is sad.
It's so crazy.
One day, I asked someone to ask if there was anything I could do for him. It sounds so small. He said, you can make me a fruit salad every morning. So I would go to the store and I would buy the most beautiful fruit I could find, and I started carving Buddhas out of papaya. I carved the Last Supper out of fruit. I would spend hours, and it was within my being, I was making a fruit salad for God. One day I came home, and my roommate, who was very closely serving the master, was taking one of my fruit salads and sliding it into a blender and making a smoothie. And I was just like, and I kept making those fruit salads.
I did also like the way that they capture Adam saying, like, it's obvious from what you've told me today that people you usually associate with are selfish and self-centered. Because they're that way, they make you that way too. You have no opportunity to express your true nature, which is giving and generous. And he just situates himself after meeting this person to be able to say, this is what your true nature is. I know you better than anyone else. But because it's nice, you're like, oh, that is my true nature. Like, that's so great. That is like, and then it leads her to hunting for the selfish, self-centered behavior in other people that is holding her back. You look like you're poised to say something.
Yeah, like what you're also making me realize is what it also does, which is so nefarious, kind of implicitly, is that it positions her typical way of being as selfish and bad. So that now everything she does that is her usual, whether that's activities, whether it's people, whether it's her own behavior, is now, and that's something she can't fight against because she wants to be her good nature.
Right.
He says that's her true her, then this must be her false her. So everything is now bad that she does.
So it's
Yikes.
skillful because you think he's driving a wedge between her and her friends or family, but he's driving the wedge between her friends, or her family, but also a wedge like betwixt herself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then build.
Gorgeous. And like this is what they do in the cults, right? This is what they do. They make it that you can't trust your own instincts. You don't know yourself is how they make you feel, that you need them.
And I don't know myself, which is why I need a cult.
Yeah.
We get the movies. She goes to the movies with Sam, even though she doesn't want to, but she does anyways.
What chapter are you?
I'm still in the middle of chapter 4. I'm almost done with chapter 4 because
Oh my God, Robert, come on.
I mean, but I'm sorry this book is such a rich text. Is that my fault? Did I write it? No, because if I did, I'd be retired. Because this book bangs and probably made a lot of money.
Okay, yeah, come on.
Sorry, so Sam gets popcorn.
The popcorn, yeah, this was good.
The popcorn. Sam passed her the popcorn. This, thought Jessica, is a perfect example of what things have been like. Sam knew she didn't like popcorn, but did he care? No. He liked popcorn. So every time they went to a movie, he bought popcorn. And every time, he ate it himself. It was just as Adam had said. People were selfish. She shoved the popcorn back at him. And it's like, that is such a perversion of what's happening. He wanted popcorn, he bought popcorn, and then he offered you popcorn. That's selfless, not selfish.
It's brilliant. He basically has given her this heuristic or this like perspective where anything can be fit into it. And
Yes.
it's, yeah.
Dark.
All right. They go, Jessica eats muesli now.
I know.
I mean,
that's
again,
like,
she's very good at the lifestyle brand, the brown clothes. She's fitting right in, the granola. And then they go canvassing, God knows for what. She doesn't ask.
no.
But then she does clock when Adam casually like takes some cash out of the collection that they just took for unnamed charity to go grab them all lunch. And she's like the only person who's like, wait, what? Like, you can't do that. That's the money we just collected. And everyone's like, oh, you dare question Adam? And Adam's like, oh, Jazz, don't worry. This is just like our overhead. Like, we obviously need to eat. We have like expenses. That's our organization. And she's
Totally
like,
normal.
well, I guess that makes sense. And like, if you're not someone with an understanding about what's legitimate and illegitimate in terms of like how you expense stuff and like, I could see her rationalizing that to herself. Oh, I guess they do have to pay for stuff. Like, she doesn't know how it works. I mean, but it's sketchy and she knows it's sketchy.
She had to admit that what he had said made sense, even though she finds it difficult to think and meet Adam's emerald gaze at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, Sam is trying to just be a good boyfriend. I do think he goes over the top. He like tries to bring her lunch at the library, but she's not there and she freaks out.
Bringing lunch to the library is over the top.
I know. I think he's like overperforming the role of good boyfriend because he feels like stuff is slipping away.
But I think that's also a plot device so that he can catch her in her lies because he has to be like following up on stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm
he has to
reading
be
the
like showing
book
up where
as
she
a-
said she was gonna, huh?
I'm reading the book as like an enjoyer of the book and not like a plot device hunter.
I am not a plot device hunter. I'm a lover of Sam. And what I'm
Okay.
reading the book as is someone who's trying to make Sam be good, which is saying that him showing up at the library with lunch is not extreme.
Well, I'm not
Okay.
saying, and what I was saying
You're
was,
saying no one should, you're saying anyone who shows up at a library with lunch should be arrested.
if
And you're
you
saying
bring
you're
food
saying
to
you love
someone at a library, locked up.
They can eat it outside
Disgusting.
on the bench. They can eat it outside on the bench. Why do they have to eat it inside? He
Disgusting.
texts her and says, I'm outside the bench with your sandwich.
They text now? They text? In
He
1991,
slips her
they're
a note.
texting?
He slips her a note.
He slips her a note in 1991. He's slipping her a note now? What technology do you think we have?
Remember what happened in the bleachers when Liz had to slip a note, when Todd had to slip a note to Liz, or Liz had to slip a note to Todd, and they ran it all the way up all those stairs, and someone passed it. And they know how to get notes around these kids.
They
All
do
right,
know how to get- okay.
we don't have time for this. Justin calls Liz and
Regardless,
says,
I don't think I think he's being understandably over the top because he feels things slipping away. The thing I really want to flag is I'm worried that Sam is also losing sight of himself because he says, let's go to Guido's, and he
And he
suggests
doesn't get
getting
the-
double cheese with jalapeno peppers.
Yeah.
When we know that their order is double cheese with pepperoni pizza and red pepper flakes.
Maybe he thinks she's bored of him and he needs to do something to mix it up.
Oh, I like that. That's a good reading. When Sam tries to talk to Jess about the cult, he says like it's like aliens are taking over her body, and immediately Adam had warned her this would happen. He'd been telling her some awful stories about members of the group whose friends and families had tried to turn them against the good friends. It was a good thing she had decided to keep the group a secret from everyone. She turned on her heel. I don't want to talk to you. You're too shallow. This idea that like cult leaders prepare their disciples for how to interact with when people say negative things is like was drilled into me when I was dealing with my student because it was like, you don't want to give her any reason to recede. And they have spent, like these cult leaders have spent their whole working lives figuring out how to make this, work.
Yeah, it's hard though, because like in the TikTok dance cult documentary I saw, that's what the parents thought. Because like the girl was like ignoring them, and she basically was like, I'll only talk to you if you don't criticize my cult. And they were like, no, this is crazy. And then she's like, okay, well, I don't talk to you anymore. And then she was like, hey, I want to come home for Christmas, but like, you can't talk about my cult. And they were like, fine. They're like, this is the only way we get to see our daughter. Like, we're going to be here for her. But then she comes to their house. They have this fake Christmas where everyone's like completely fake together. And she's just making social media content out of it the whole time.
Okay.
And then her and the cult put that online as proof of being like, we're not a cult. Look, we're normal. We're fine. Our families are okay with us. So by being the supportive family, I'm not saying this is what is happening in other situations, but like, it's not necessarily always that simple of just to never say anything critical about it. you're going
I
to be
agree.
keeping things safe because you might also enable certain stuff. And that's what happened on the TikTok called. And it was so stressful because it's like, oh, now she's publishing this stuff on her Instagram. It's like she didn't even go to visit them. She did this to like get more ammunition for herself. And they like unwittingly played into these manipulations, which was like
It's very
very
sad.
smart of the cult people.
They're very smart people. Liz thinks to herself, I don't know how Jessica used to manage to juggle more than one boy at a time, talking about Todd and Justin. And I was like, huh, interesting.
I wrote connect the dots, bitch, when she goes to bed being like, but what's it all about?
Yeah, she has no idea.
Liz talks to Jess about the cult, end of chapter 8, and I liked Liz's both and where Jessica tells her all about them, right?
Hmm.
And how great they are. And Jessica says, it sounds like the group has done you a lot of good, but that doesn't change what Dad was saying. And I just liked seeing that line. Because, yeah, both could be true. But
Yeah,
like,
I like how so Jess screams, Jess is mad. How dare you follow me? What gives you right to treat me like I've committed some sort of crime? Jessica, please, Elizabeth pleaded. Just calm down for a minute, which is never good, but whatever. I wasn't following you because I thought you'd done something wrong. I followed you because I was worried about you. It's the same thing, Jessica shouted. You always treat me like I'm stupid. I can take care of myself, you know. If you can take care of yourself, then why did you lie about where you were going? Because I didn't think you'd understand, and I was right. No, you weren't right. You never gave me a chance to understand. Jessica stared at her twin for several seconds, clearly thinking about what Elizabeth had just said. If you'd explained what was happening, I would have tried to see it from your side. You know I would have. Instead, you lied to everyone and started sneaking. And it like does kind of break through a little. It doesn't get all the way there, but it is interesting that like by showing that she's open to learning more, she breaks through some. Meanwhile, we haven't mentioned this, but Todd keeps like so it takes Liz forever to put this together, but part of that is because Todd keeps saying, "Stop jumping to conclusions. You don't know what's going on. It could be anything." And it's like, "Todd, honey, baby girl."
but he also brought the key piece of evidence from the mall and connected those dots about the girl seeming like Jessica's glazed expression.
I'm not sure. Well, first off, he says several times, "Oh, come on now, don't go jumping."
No,
to
I agree. I wrote that down
okay.
too. I wrote that down too.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah. What? Go. Get me
No, I'm
through
just
this.
conflicted between moving forward and
Let's move forward.
to the
I'm not
bathhouse.
conflicted.
To the bathhouse.
Wait, what's the bathhouse?
In chapter 10, Liz and Enid go. I wrote the bathhouse in huge letters, exclamation point, question mark, where they buy fucking bath beads or whatever because Enid needs a birthday present for her mom.
Do they call it
Valley's
bathhouse?
Yes, it's called the bathhouse. People's favorite thing to do in Sweet Valley is for Elizabeth to come with them to go shopping for a present for their mother.
I have no idea what to get my mom. We skipped the idea that Liz impersonates Jess and goes to good friends. And Todd gets worried and goes, I mean, what if they have some crazy nickname for Jessica? These people do that a lot. You know, they might call her Shahina or Bright Star or something. And I was like, is Shahina like your dream drag name? Why did that come so trippingly off your tongue?
Yeah, that was interesting. All right, blah blah blah. At some point, Liz infiltrates and then sees that it's creepy, but doesn't get any like hard evidence. So she's unable to basically convince. Because Jess is like, if you can show me proof that they did something illegal, then I'll stop hanging out with them. But Liz doesn't really have any evidence, but she still kind of confronts her and it's like, yeah, but they're creepy. And then Jess is like, fine, I'll stay away until the like legal stuff gets straightened out and their innocence gets proved. And Liz is like, I'm gonna believe you. And then obviously she keeps going with them. All the stuff happens with Brian. She gets Brian's address from Ned's rolodex, which for the children is
So we remember that Ned is doing prosecution stuff against Good Friends. We also know that Brian, who is a young man in Good Friends, was at the mall raising money or canvassing or whatever, and he gets snatched back or kidnapped or taken by his parents. And so Adam says, oh, you've got to Jessica, you've got to find out how we can find Brian's information. And she's like, My dad must have the address somewhere in his desk at home. So she stays up late. She goes over to his Rolodex, and now you can do your kind of humorous Rolodex discussion.
It's like what used to be instead of a contacts app, a Rolodex, you said flip, flip, flip. And those cards, people give you a business card. So you stick it in a Rolodex, which is like a little flipper circle where you flip through all the cards in alphabetical order. And that's how you find people's phone numbers and addresses.
Of course, her father would have put Brian's parents' address in there. She quickly flicked through the Rolodex. There it was, Keratin. Jessica copied down the address.
Does he have a personal versus professional Rolodex? And what's his data privacy situation? And how come he just has like literal vulnerable witnesses who like people could be doing retribution on, just open in his own personal Rolodex in his home office?
I just thought it was more like she doesn't know Brian's last name. So did
I
Ned...
assumed like, what? No, of course Adam told her that they just didn't show it. I also thought about that. I was like, it's weird that that wasn't mentioned before, but I'm like, obviously we're to assume Adam told her. That's not the weird part of this.
That's the weird part
Adam
of
be
this.
like, yeah, go look in the Rolodex. His last name's fucking Keratin, and
Well,
nobody
then
do
that is
hair
needed
news
to...
about it.
But he just says, go figure it out.
Sure, but couldn't she have like called him and asked or whatever? Like, there's a lot of ways that could happen.
It didn't, though. That's what I want to understand. It
Do you
didn't.
think she's psychic and she said, oh, and 30 years from now, they're going to do something called Keratin, but instead of being spelled with a K, I'm going to think it's about this, and being spelled with a C, that's this guy's last name?
No, what? No, I don't... What?
Keratin is a hair straightening treatment.
No, I believe...
It's also the name of a protein, Robert, and you should know that.
I do. Elizabeth agrees to go on a date with Justin Silver, which is boring and terrible. The only thing that's interesting is we get another restaurant in Sweet Valley that has an artificial waterfall.
Oh, really?
Because Guido's has a waterfall feature, and now the small corner table of the cafe has an artificial water feature.
Wait, which cafe?
It just says the cafe.
Hold on. Just at the cafe. The one where she's wearing her... Oh my gosh.
It's at the beginning of chapter 11.
But yeah, I see the blouse and the sparkle. Aquamarine. Small corner table of the cafe.
Right?
No, but they're in the mall. Cafe in the mall? Or no?
Are they in the mall?
Yeah, cafe in the mall.
Okay, but I mean...
No, I'm just trying to figure... No, but... Oh, okay. Syntactic ambiguity. Listen, Elizabeth and Justin sat at a small corner table of the cafe near the artificial waterfall. Is the table near the waterfall or the cafe is near the waterfall? Could the waterfall be part of the mall area? The cafe is near... Why are you getting angry?
Because I think you're... I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
Why?
Because I was so excited that another restaurant in Sweet Valley had a artificial waterfall, and it seems like maybe it doesn't.
No, but Robert, I'm saying it's literally 50. I'm saying it's literally could be either. And
I know,
I'm saying
but,
even if that cafe doesn't, it's still close. It's still near the waterfall.
No, but before you brought your wisdom, it was like 100% sure thing that we had another cafe in Sweet Valley with an artificial waterfall, and I was so excited. And now it's down to 50-50, and I know it's like, well, 50-50 is better than 40-60, and like, yes, I understand that, but it's not as good as 100-0, which is what I was at before. And I'm having a hard time being optimistic about my 50-50 chances of this being an artificial waterfall within the cafe when it's only 50-50.
Okay, but can I offer a gentle reframe?
Yeah.
Could we consider the possibilities that having it in the open mall area presents, which is that, like, what if the food at that cafe isn't even good, like, and you don't want to spend that much time there, you're just not going to have access to that gorgeous waterfall? Now it's like you might even be able to see it from, like, oh, you're at the music store, you're at the
music store,
other music store, the salad store or whatever, and still you have a view of this gorgeous waterfall. Maybe from the escalator you could see it.
I'm sure you could see it from the escalator. That's a good point. Thank you for that reframe. Okay, Adam wants him to leave Sweet Valley. Jess pretends to be sick. What?
And then it's so random because it's like Liz is like, come with me, and Adam's like, no, come with me, let's leave Sweet Valley. And like, you even have to leave the Fiat because when we can't have a marked, they're going to be able to trace us. And Jess is like, trace us. That makes us feel like I'm being with the criminals. But then the climax is Sam goes, how do you explain this, Mr. Marvel? And he's holding Susan's lifeless form.
It's Susan. Jessica gasped. Oh no, Annie cried from the door of the van. She's dead! Susan's dead!
And like,
She's not dead.
to be fair, when you see the word lifeless form, you think corpse.
Yeah.
But it turns out she's just unconscious and tied up and gagged.
But she's all
And a
great news.
reporter.
And a reporter. My thing about that was like, wait, Susan had stuff in her belongings that she was keeping at the good friend's house that proved she was or suggested she was a reporter. Like, that is such shoddy undercover work. Like, what the fuck?
Maybe it wasn't materials. Maybe she had a slip of the tongue, like on Traders, when they're like, I promise you I'm a traitor. I mean, a faithful. Maybe she was like, I promise you I am a cult. I promise you I'm a reporter. I mean, just a regular cult follower. You know?
I thought that was like he went through my stuff.
Okay, so maybe has stuff that was. Maybe she had a lock on it and he broke it. I don't know. Maybe she had a code and he had a cipher slide. Doesn't matter.
He must have searched through my things and discovered that I was really a reporter and that it infiltrated the group to expose him for the fraud that he was.
Fine. All right. Susan's a reporter, 10 million question marks. What? Where are their parents? Question million question marks. And then it ends and Steven's being weird and we don't care.
Yeah, Steven's like so many happy couples. And Liz is like, huh? And then she's like, I guess I'll bite. Aren't you part of a happy couple?
Oh my God.
Sure.
It's like, why are you here?
Cara and I have never been happier. The only thing is she's going to London next week. But Steven, she'll only be gone for a week. Oh, I know, Steven said with a shrug. I don't know why, but I'm dreading it. Find out what's in store for Cara and Steven in Sweet Valley High number 83, Steven's Bride. WTF, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. And if you want to join a cult, you know.
And to the listeners, even though the cliffhanger says Steven's Bride, before we get to Steven's Bride, we're going to be reading the next super special, which is Olivia's story, which we're a little bit late on. It should have actually come after one of the last ones, but we're going to do it after this. So you have to wait for Steven's Bride, which I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed to hear. Because no one cares about Steven's fucking bride. And it better be Trisha's corpse.
Oh my God, do you think he's corpse marrying? That could be lovely.
Okay, if you...
And I don't.
...are thinking about joining a cult, you should remember that something we learned from this book is that helping others is actually the way to help yourself. Okay. And that the only thing that matters is like doing good and helping others. And that's why instead of being such a selfish prick, you should take 1 second out of your day to rate our podcast that you just like to get your grubby hands on every week and just listen and take and never give like Lily Allen's mean ex-husband.
David Harbour.
In my head, I like to think of him as David Harbour.
Oh, you're silly. Okay, well,
oh my gosh, okay, love it, as Madeline would say, and all the West End girlies are going to understand the reference. Love and light.
Great. I can't actually, because we've been recording now for 4 hours, and so I can't learn about this thing.
I can't teach.
Yes, you can.
I know. I always have time to teach because I'm a consummate teacher.
You are. I'm okay. I love you.
Thanks for listening to Sweet Valley Hive, hosted by Robert Marks and Rebecca Pardo. For more, check out our Instagram at Sweet Valley Hive. Theme song by Yessie and artwork by Elliot Carroll.